Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Veda and this is The Simple Budget. Here on my channel, I show you how my family is using the zero-based budgeting method in order to get out of debt and simplify our financial life. If that sounds like content that you're interested in, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and join our little crew here. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. All right, so first and foremost, I just want to apologize for the lighting here. Oh, okay. That was hilarious because I was going to give two disclaimers, one about the lighting and one about the flies. And the fly just flew into frame while I was getting ready to apologize for the lighting. Anyway, so I usually film my videos in the afternoon, and we don't have this sort of lighting issue here where we're dealing with the sunlight peeking through my blinds, but it's like late morning right now. I love morning light, but it's late morning right now, and so the sun is still kind of peeking through my blinds, and so that's why we're gonna have this little bar here of blind light. So I do apologize if that bothers you, but you know, we're working with summertime, kids at home hours, and I don't know if you guys, I think I've mentioned it here before, my kids have no clue that I have a YouTube channel. And so I'm still trying to keep this one under my hat because my real life people also don't know that I have a YouTube channel. My husband and I go back and forth in conversations on that about whether or not we want our real life people to know that we have this YouTube channel. Right now it's just something fun that's for me and him and that we enjoy. But if we told my son, especially, it would never remain under wraps. So anyway, I'm working around timelines where I can film that they're not in the house. Second of all, second disclaimer of the video, before we get into my budget with me, we are having a particularly housefly heavy summer. And between my kids coming in and out of the house, and actually last night I made smash burgers for dinner. I'll see if I can find a good recipe to link below. It's literally the easiest thing in the entire world. You take a 1/4 pound of ground beef, you roll it into like a ball. Sorry, the flies are actually flying all over the place right now. You roll it into a ball, and then you put it in like a searing hot pan with like a little bit of like butter or bacon fat or whatever in it. And then you smash it down as soon as you put it in the pan. And then you just season that one side with salt and pepper and cook it for like 2 minutes, flip it. And then, oh, sorry. I just thought I was bit by something, but evidently I was not. Yeah. So you just cook it for like 2 minutes, flip it to the other side, put cheese on right away if that's what you're going for, another 2 minutes, and then your burger is fully cooked. I'm not sure what kind of magic happens in the pan during the smash burger process, but they are the best burgers ever. They're so flavorful, so delicious. And then because it's only a 1/4 pound of beef, if you want more than that, you can stack them. Obviously, you know, put all of the burger accoutrement on it that you like, but they are some of our favorites. But the reason why I'm going into my smash burger conversation with you is because we have really poor like ventilation in our kitchen. And so I just our back door is actually located in our kitchen. So I open the back door. We don't have screen doors right now. And I need to order those little like screen things that you can put over your doorway. That would be smart. I might get to doing that like ASAP. Anyway, we don't have screen doors, and I just leave my door wide open so that the smokiness of the kitchen, or the smokiness of the fact that I'm searing beef on the stovetop, doesn't like flood our entire house. And so that's why my house is particularly flyy today. My husband and son did go through and kill a bunch of them, but so many got in last night when I was cooking these smash burgers. So if you see flies milling about, that's why. Okay, so now that we've gotten our disclaimers out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys in, and we will just get stuck into this budget with me for the month of July. All right. So as is typical, well, if you're new to my channel, you won't know this, but I have taken the, what's the word I'm looking for? I've taken the liberty. Yeah, that's right. I've taken the liberty of pre-filling out all of my categories because in my old, if you're an OG, I mean, you know, in the last 6 months, in my older budget with me's, I would write these down and then the amounts. And frankly, we don't have time for that. Otherwise, this would be like such a long video. So I've filled out all of the categories. I've filled out our projected pay. And we will just go ahead and get into the budget for the month. So just to have a convo about our income, I am an hourly wage earner. My husband is a salaried employee. Even though I am an hourly wage earner, I have a pretty consistent schedule. And so I'm able to project what my income will be for a particular pay period based off of how many shifts I'm supposed to work within that pay period. So this one, I'm trying to remember why I have such an exact amount here. I think I already have a decent amount. I think I have a decent understanding of what my hours are going to be for this particular pay period, which is why I have such a specific amount sitting here versus this one. It's just sort of like a generic, I don't put any cents with it because it's further out, and so it's harder for me to like project what I'm going to make. And so that's why I think I have this down to the cent here. As is usual, if I make over the projected pay, we then decide within that pay period what we're going to do with that extra money. And what we usually do, for those of you who may be brand new to my channel, what we usually do is just kind of take a look at our envelopes for that month and decide where we feel like we're a little short and then put that money in that direction. That's how we've been doing it so far, and it's working out for us. And so I think we'll probably keep doing that going forward. But what we're going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and add up this income so that we know what we're working with for the month. So this will I always feel like my budget with me's are a really good resource. And I have so many of them on my channel at this point. So do feel free to go back and take a look at them. I feel like watching a budget with me and watching them on several YouTube channels, if you're new to budgeting, especially if you're used to zero-based budgeting, because that's what this is. We create a plan for every single dollar that's coming into our house for that month. And so if you're new to it, do go watch several other YouTubers, not just myself, who do this sort of thing, so that you can get an idea for kind of how people do it, but also you really get to see what categories people create in their budgets. And I found that so incredibly helpful when I first was starting with YouTube. Not YouTube, starting with budgeting and cash stuffing, because there were categories that I hadn't even thought about. And I was like, oh my gosh, we need to make sure that we are saving for these things. These are super important. And I have been that resource for some of you. I've seen your comments like, oh, I didn't even think about union dues until you said it, or whatever. So use that as a kind of jumping off point for just good advice to get along the way. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and add up the income so that we know what we're dealing with for the month of July. And then we'll go ahead and get into where we allot the money, how we allot the money, and sometimes the why. I usually always try to go into an explanation for you guys of our why here and there, just so that you maybe can glean something from that with your own particular budgeting system. So let's go ahead and add up this income. The total that we're projected to bring in this month, frame check, is $9,233.10. And everybody does this differently. I keep the cents in for as long as humanly possible, because I mean, I know it's zero-based budgeting and you give every dollar a purpose, but we really do try to give every cent a purpose in our budget. You don't have to be as meticulous as we are, but this is just what we do, especially because for certain things like internet, electric, those things have change associated with them. And so we just keep the change in and budget accordingly. So first up is our mortgage payment, and it is $2,475.88. And so this is an example of why we keep the change in our budget, because as we go along, the change kind of shifts and moves around and it all adds up, and we are making sure that we are utilizing every penny that is allotted to us, essentially. Our water bill is something that fluctuates every single month, and so we put $130 at it every single month so that we can make sure that in months where we're using a ton of water, like the summertime, because we do run sprinklers, unless there's a drought, but we do run sprinklers, and so we're using water more, and this allotting $130 towards it every single month ensures for us that in the summertime, even if our bill is high, we still have a buffer sitting in our account waiting for just such an event like this. My husband's life insurance is $42.06. Our car insurance fluctuates just slightly every single month, so we don't really feel the need to do the same thing for it like as our water bill. It's usually somewhere around $110. And so this month it's $107, or for the month of July, it's $107.40. Jiu-jitsu is the same every single month. It is $187.38. And this one may be changing in the near distant future. Does that make sense? We're evaluating whether or not we keep my son in it. He doesn't get as much enjoyment out of it as like my husband. It's definitely something that my husband loves. And my son seems to be leaning more toward an interest in like track and field. And so if he's able to do that for school, then it's something that we don't even have to pay for. So this may go down, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Take a little sip of my cold brew here. Okay, next up is our internet, and our internet never changes. It's $55.58. And then our phone bill this month is a $110.68. We still have not switched providers. We are looking to switch from Verizon to T-Mobile, which is something that I can't even believe that I'm saying, but Verizon always worked really well for us when we lived on the East Coast. But here in Texas, it's absolute garbage. I'd be curious to see if those of you who are like in the Midwest area or Texas also have that same experience. We've been told that the T-Mobile CEO lives in the DFW area, and so that's why T-Mobile seems to work here for people better, because they like put extra towers up or something. I'm not really sure of the validity of that, but I have a friend in my neighborhood who just switched from Verizon to T-Mobile and has had like such a better experience. So that will also decrease our bill a little bit. So it's something we need to get on, but it's one of those logistical things that takes time. And you're just like, oh my gosh, do I want to devote 45 minutes to being in the store? The answer will eventually be yes, but right now it just hasn't happened. Our electric bill is the same as our water bill because it fluctuates every month depending on usage. We just put $200 at it a month to allow for overage, especially in the summertime when we are using the AC. And let me tell you, we are using the AC because we're in a heat wave right now. It's absolutely crazy. Texas doesn't usually get like the high humidity that we've been experiencing here. In the DFW area, it's usually drier. I'm used to it because I'm from the East Coast where we have a ton of humidity. So it doesn't really bother me, but you talk to the locals and they're like, this is so humid. I'm like, y'all don't know from humidity, but it's fine. We definitely have the AC cranked. But we are also doing as much as we can, with the exception of this room right now where my blinds are currently open so that I can get the beautiful sunlight in here. We are keeping all of our blinds closed and our curtains closed. So it feels somewhat dungeness in my house right now, which I don't enjoy, but it's keeping the cool air in and the sunshine out. And that is working for us for now. So anyways, that was very rambly. Groceries is getting a bit of a bump this month. And the reason for that is because I actually have a relative coming into town for 4th of July. And I wanted to make sure that we had extra money in our budget, in our grocery budget, to accommodate his visit. And so that's why we increased that a little bit this month. And so you will see there's going to be a shift, like less money is going to go toward debt this month because of certain things that we just want to make sure that we are putting enough money toward. And groceries was one of those ones that got a little bit of a bump. So that's why that went up. And then Target is still getting its usual $400 allotment. Gas is getting $150. Household, we are putting $70 toward, and toiletries we're putting $60 toward. This is about what we think we need to keep putting in there to maintain just our expenses, but we're gonna kind of see how this goes over the next few months. Because if you've been watching my videos, especially my weekly check-ins, we've really been like coming to the bottom of the barrel of these envelopes. And so we're trying to like bump them up and buffer them a little bit so that we don't keep running out of money in those categories. Here, I'm gonna just go ahead and scooch this up just a little bit so that I make sure we stay in frame here. Our subscriptions, we have a variety of them, Netflix, Apple Music, et cetera, et cetera. And so I just lump them all into one category for the sake of saving space on my sheet here, and they add up to $52.75 a month. This will also be decreased when we change providers to T-Mobile, because T-Mobile, you get Netflix for free or a reduced price. Either way, it's like one of those things where I'm like, oh man, we need to do this because we'd be saving some money. Pest control gets $40 a month. It's a quarterly expense, but we treat it like a sinking fund. So we put $40 toward it a month, and we pay once a quarter. Prime, Amazon Prime, gets $12 a month to make sure that we have enough money to renew our membership annually. Taxes gets $30, and that is this basically just funds the money that we give to the guy who prepares our taxes for us. Our HOA gets $20 a month. Union dues for my husband's job gets $30 a month. Both HOA and union dues will be getting less next year, but this was one of those where we didn't fund it. We didn't have a full 12 months to put money toward it for either of these categories. And so we're just, adding more money to it to make sure that we have enough by the time the bill comes due. But then once it is, then we'll be able to allot less money toward it every single month. And then Finance Coach is getting $10 this month. And so I'm going to just go ahead and add this stuff up really quickly. I will speed you all through this, and then we'll know what we've got left after this section. All right. So our total for our bills and expenses for the month of July is $5,683.73. So, okay, I just want to do like a little, not like a disclaimer, but for those of you who've been following my channel for any significant period of time, you know that we are in the midst of a debt payoff, a debt pay down, debt payoff, not down, off, gone, completely far, far away. The Dave Ramsey method, which is something that we are very loosely following, suggests that you essentially eliminate your budget, everything in your budget down to the absolute bare bones. This is a video in which you will see that we are not doing that. We have not cut our budget down to the very bare bones. The reason for that, and I've explained this before, is because my husband's job security is very stable. Mine, even though I'm in like a retail sort of industry, I work for a museum, mine is also stable. And so for the foreseeable future, what we are trying to do now, you'll see when we get to the end, we actually do put a lot of our budget, a lot of our money from our budget toward debt. It's not like we're not giving it a lot of money every single month. We really, really do. This is not as extravagant as our budget could be. That being said, it is also not as bare bones as it could be for those of you who have to follow the Dave Ramsey baby steps method much more stringently. Please do not use my budget. Please do not use my budget as an example. If you are more worried about job security, if you are more worried about, if you have more debt than we do, I'll go ahead and post my debt confession for you, so that you can see what our starting point was in January. And then I will also link my Q1 update for you so that you can see how much we paid down in the first quarter. And actually, fun fact, I think next week is going to be our Q2 update so that you guys will be able to see how much progress we've made in the last quarter as well. Do not use me as a guideline. If you are trying to follow the baby steps exactly as he has laid them out, you have knocked your budget down to the bare bones. I am not a good example for how to do that. What I am a good example for how to do is to still be aggressively paying down your debt while you're also planning for other things in your life. So that's what we are in the midst of doing, because we do not plan on changing this budget very much after we've paid our debt off. We are trying to find what works for us long term. And so while we do have a lot of money going toward debt right now, even after the debt is paid off, that money isn't going to just be sunk into all of these sinking funds. Much more of it is going to go into investment and saving and things like that. But the reason why I went into this explanation is because if we were cutting down to the absolute bare bones, our bills and expenses would not look like this every single month. We would not have these sinking funds every single month. And so I just wanted to put that out there for those of you who are like, well, wait, if you talk about Dave Ramsey on your channel, why do you have all of these categories? Why do you have all of these sinking funds? And that's the reason why we are still trying to, we are paying down our debt aggressively while trying to figure out what kind of a budget works for our life in the day-to-day, even after our debt is paid off. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before we move forward into the sinking funds, because I don't want any confusion about how we've landed where we have, as far as like why we are doing our budget the way that we are. So anyways, I'm going to just go ahead and move right into the next bit of it. So next up, and I think you guys, yes, we are in frame. So after we figure out what our bills and expenses are, we actually go into funding the sinking funds before actually finally moving on to our debt and what we put toward that extra every month. That's just how we do it, because we are trying to fund these different categories in our life and make sure we're doing it regularly so that we have enough money once we get there. After we've figured out how much all of this costs, that's what we determine what we're going to be putting extra toward debt every month. That's just how we do it. Not saying that's how you have to do it. I'm just showing you guys kind of how we arrive where we do. So next up is car maintenance and tags. So this expense every single month covers just kind of general car maintenance expenses, but then also our registration every year for our car. And so it gets $57 every month because of that. Home maintenance gets $50. This is just for any little home emergencies that you could think of that you're covering. An appliance breaks or you need to replace one or whatever. That's sort of what this goes toward. We do have an emergency fund that we have saved that is part of the Dave Ramsey baby steps. It's $1,000 that we have sitting in an account right now, just kind of waiting for an emergency so that it doesn't interfere with our debt payoff. But we also figured that in the interim, funding a home maintenance envelope was just a good discipline to have anyway. And if we do have a car emergency or a home emergency, we can use these envelopes to supplement our emergency fund that we have sitting in our account right now. So that's why we do that. Medical is getting $50 this month. This one fluctuates. We do like to put like $70 toward it a month, but if we have like a lean month budget, which is kind of what this is, then, I mean, I say lean month. What I mean is we're not putting as much toward debt this month as we like to. So we'll cut things like medical where we feel like we've got a decent amount saved in that envelope anyway. So I won't put the full $70 toward it this month. Clothes is getting $200 this month. And the reason for that is because my poor husband's wardrobe needs a pretty significant update. There are a couple of reasons for this. One, we wear our clothes out. I am not one of these, well, I'm a person who appreciates new clothing on a semi-regular basis just because I'm a person who really enjoys clothes and getting dressed and all of those kinds of things. But I will wear an item out. I actually literally have a hoodie that I bought when I was in high school. I'm 38. I have a hoodie that I bought when I was in high school when I worked for Express, the clothing store Express. It's like a thin charcoal gray hoodie. I absolutely love that thing. It's so comfy cozy. It has so many holes in it right now, but I just can't bear to part with it. So that's the kind of energy I'm talking about when it comes to clothing. Like we wear our clothes out, and my husband, he just needs some new clothes. He really, really does. He is not a person who enjoys the clothing process like I do. And so if he says he needs clothes and I say he needs clothes, he really needs clothes. So we're just going to kind of be beefing this one up. We're going to try to take advantage of some July 4th sales. I hate buying anything full price anyway. So, but we wanted to allot some money. Just, he's got some shirts that he's got to replace and maybe like a new pair of shorts or two or something like that. So anyway, that's why we're putting more money toward it this month. And this was much to his chagrin. My husband is the one who's like very, very aggressive with our debt. Not that I'm not, but he is very aggressive with our debt. And this was like a conversation, like, you literally have holes in those shorts. Like, let's replace your clothes. So anyways, next up, haircuts is getting $80 for the month of July. His and hers, this is our spending money. My husband is getting $50, and this is just for his spending money. I get $175 because my haircut is also part of this, and I get a controversial lash lift that is also part of this. But basically, where this is just my husband's spending money and then his haircut is allotted up here, I am allotted a little bit more. One, because I'm a girl and, you know, I like clothes, as I've mentioned before. And so we have negotiated this price for me. But then also in this is like any beauty treatment money that I could want. So if I decide that I want to go get a wax instead of a lash lift, I have to make that determination within my own budget. We don't just allot extra money for me to get like, you know, wax or nails done or something like that. If I want it, I have to make it happen within the confines of this budget. So that's just kind of how we have always worked it out. And currently my two beauty treatments that I allot myself is a haircut regularly, like a trim, and a lash lift. So, and then anything that's left over from those two things, saving for those two things every month, goes towards my own personal spending. So that's how that works. Dine Out is getting $60 this month. Miscellaneous is going to be getting $10. Work food gets $30. That is any money that we want to spend toward food or coffee or whatever that we get while we're working. Dates is getting $15. Family fun is getting $50. Our house project is getting $100 this month. And so is vacation, actually. And after July, vacation actually isn't going to be funded anymore because our vacation is in August. And so this will complete the funding for our vacation, for the vacation that we're taking in August. And then we'll kind of work out how we're going to save for next year's summer vacation in the future. I mean, obviously in the nearer future, but you know, it's not something we're worried about for like the rest of this year. So anyways, gifts gets $40 a month, and birthday party or birthday parties, or just actually not just birthday parties, but just any little hosting things, gets $35 a month. And this was another one that we beefed up this month. Back to school is getting $100 because I think I've mentioned it to you guys before, but I think it's the end of July. There's a tax-free weekend that Texas does to basically remove the sales tax from any school-related purchases. And so we like to take advantage of that. And so I wanted to make sure that we had enough money in back to school so that our kids, I could get our kids' school supplies tax-free because I am all about that. So Valentine's gets $5 a month. Easter gets $7 a month. Thanksgiving is getting $20 this month. Christmas is getting $150. And then our zoo membership gets $16 and our pool membership gets $32. And so that is the end of these sinking funds. So I'm going to go ahead and add this up really quickly, and then we'll figure out what we're going to be putting toward debt this month. All right. So in our sinking funds this month, we are going to be putting $1,432. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is take our income, so $9,233.10, subtract our bills and expenses total, which is $5,683.73. And then subtract our sinking funds total, which is $1,432. And we are left with $2,117.37. Now, in a conversation about debt, we are in the process now of, we've gotten our visa under $20,000. And so we are in the process now of paying our car off. That being said, because our visa balance is $20,000, we're putting $300 a month toward it while we're paying our car off to make sure that the interest does not overtake the balance, and so that it keeps going down every single month while we're paying our car off. This is not within the confines of the Dave Ramsey baby steps, but it is still kind of applying his recommendations in our own specific way toward our own budget. So that's how we're doing it. And so I will subtract the $300 from that. And so what we are left with to put toward our car this month is $1,817.37. And so that is a zero-based budget. That is taking your income, that is giving every dollar, or in our case, cent, that you get in your income a purpose every single month. So that whether you're saving for something long-term or you're just addressing your needs that month, your dollars are working for you. Your budget is working for you, and it really alleviates so much financial stress when you do things this way. Not everybody does a monthly budget overview. I think a lot of people actually, you know what? I'll finish chatting. I'll zoom you guys out and then finish chatting. Okay, so like I was saying, not everybody does a monthly budget overview. I think they're a thing that you can do if you have a pretty decent idea of what your income is going to look like. If you have a variable income, or it's just kind of inconsistent in general, I think it helps when you do a budget by paycheck, which is also zero-based budgeting. But you kind of just make a plan for each paycheck as it comes in. Just the way that things work out in our life, even my hourly wage job is a very consistent schedule. And so we're able to make a monthly plan so that we have a monthly overview of kind of what we're going to be doing with our budget that month. So yes, this is, as I've mentioned like 1,000 times on my channel, having a zero-based budget is the most freeing, stress-relieving financial move we have ever made in our family and our marriage. It's just making sure that you have money in certain places where you know you're going to need it at some point, creating a plan, making your dollars work for you, these are all things that are so beneficial for your finances. So I hope that in watching the way that we do things here, it is helpful for you all on your own personal, like, financial situation, that you can take a look at what I'm doing and maybe what other budget content creators are doing and apply that to your life in a way that really functions well for you and your own system. So thank you guys, as always, for tuning in to my channel and for just, hanging out. I know, like, the dollars and cents of this stuff is, not maybe exciting for some people, but I love this kind of stuff. And I think that this content is so valuable for people who are learning how to budget and creating a budget and wanting to know what zero-based budgeting is and making it work for them. So I do appreciate you guys always hanging out with me here. I hope that you enjoyed this little bonus video. If you do enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you guys haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you did. And then I will see you guys on Friday for my first ever YouTube and Etsy paycheck stuffings. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. And I will see you then. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.